I'm 29 now, but I was 26 when this happened. At the time, I was working remotely as a junior UX designer, the kind of job that lets you convince yourself you've hacked life. Laptop in a backpack, flexible hours, mornings free if you're willing to work late. I'm not reckless, not brave either. I've always been cautious in quiet ways, double-checking locks, keeping my phone charged, trusting patterns more than people. I grew up surfing on the coast, nothing extreme. I wasn't chasing big waves or posting clips online. Surfing for me was about repetition, same break, same early hour, same routine. It grounded me. This happened on a Tuesday morning in late September, just after a long stretch of flat days. A small swell finally showed up overnight, not much, waist to chest high, but clean. Offshore wind. Low tide at dawn. I drove out before sunrise to a beach I'd been going to since college. It wasn't secret, just inconvenient enough that tourists didn't bother. You had to park on the shoulder and walk down a narrow dirt path through scrub and rocks. No lifeguard, no bathrooms, usually a handful of locals, mostly older guys who didn't talk much. That morning felt normal, almost boring. I remember thinking how quiet my life was, how lucky I was to start my day in the ocean instead of traffic. That feeling didn't last. I parked where I always did, killed the engine, and sat for a moment listening to the surf through the open window. The air smelled like wet sand and eucalyptus. I checked the time, 6:12 a.m., and sent a quick Slack message saying I'd be online by 9. I pulled on my wetsuit halfway, sipping coffee from a thermos while standing by the trunk. My board was already waxed from the week before. I remember being annoyed that I'd forgotten my reef booties, but the water wasn't that cold yet. There were 3 other cars parked farther down. 2 guys I recognized, both in their 40s, always surfed together, and a van I didn't recognize. White, older model, no decals. I didn't think much of it. The walk down took about 5 minutes. The path narrowed near the end, forcing you into single file. The sun was just starting to lighten the horizon, everything still grey-blue and muted. The waves looked clean, perfect little lines peeling left. The 2 regulars were already in the water, sitting wide. I nodded to them as I waded in. One of them raised a hand. "Morning," he said. "Morning," I replied. I paddled out, found a spot a little inside of them and waited. The rhythm took over quickly, watching sets, duck diving, feeling the board lift under me. For a while it was just surfing, no thoughts beyond the next wave. About 30 minutes in, I noticed someone else paddling out from the south end of the beach. A guy on a longboard moving slowly, almost dragging his arms through the water. At first he seemed normal. He didn't sit where most people would. Instead of lining up with the rest of us, he stayed closer to shore, just inside the break, floating awkwardly. He wasn't really positioning for waves, more like watching. I told myself I was projecting. People surf differently. Beginners do weird things, longboarders especially. Still, I kept glancing over. He wore a hooded wetsuit, even though the water didn't call for it. The hood was tight around his face, making it hard to see features from a distance. Every so often, he'd paddle a few strokes toward me, then stop. Let a wave pass under him without trying to catch it. After a while, I caught a left that took me closer to shore. When I kicked out and turned back toward the lineup, he was closer than I expected. Too close. "Hey," I said, neutral, polite. He didn't answer, just stared at me. His eyes were dark, unfocused, like he wasn't fully present. I paddled away, feeling silly for being bothered. The ocean plays tricks on you. Distances feel wrong. Sounds get swallowed. But then it happened again. Another wave pushed me inside, and again he drifted closer. This time I heard him breathe, heavy, loud through the hood. "You waiting for something?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He smiled, just briefly, then looked past me, toward the path that led up the bluff. "I'm just watching," he said. That should have been nothing, harmless. But the way he said it, flat, almost rehearsed, sent a cold ripple through me that had nothing to do with the water. I told myself to finish the session and head in. The two regulars paddled in not long after. One of them waved as he passed me. "Gonna grab coffee," he said. "You good out here?" "Yeah," I replied automatically. As soon as they were gone, the beach felt emptier. Too quiet. The sets slowed. The light got brighter, exposing every detail I'd ignored earlier. I noticed the van again. It hadn't moved. I caught one more wave and rode it all the way in. As I stepped off my board in knee-deep water, I felt a presence behind me. I turned. The hooded guy was standing there, board tucked under his arm. He was closer now, maybe 10 feet away. "Heading out?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Work." He nodded slowly, eyes never leaving my face. "Same," he said, which didn't make sense. I started walking up the beach, board under my arm. I could hear him behind me, sand crunching, too close for comfort. I stopped and turned. "Hey man, you need something?" He smiled again, wider this time. "Just making sure you get back safe," he said. My heart kicked hard. "I'm fine," I said. "Thanks." I walked faster. He followed. The path narrowed. Scrub brushed against my wetsuit. My phone was in my car. No signal down here anyway. Halfway up, I heard him say softly, "You come here a lot." I didn't answer. "Same days," he continued. "Same time." I broke into a jog. At the top of the path, I reached the parking area and dropped my board, fumbling with the straps. My hands shook. I could hear him breathing behind me again. "Don't!" he said. I froze. "Don't what?" I asked, hating how thin my voice sounded. "Don't pretend you didn't notice me," he said. "You noticed." I turned slowly. He was close enough that I could smell him. Stale neoprene, something sour underneath. His hood was still up, framing his face too tightly. "I just want to leave," I said. He tilted his head. "I know." For a second, I thought he might grab me. My mind raced through useless options. Swing the board, run barefoot on gravel, scream into empty space. Then a car engine started in the distance. The sound changed everything. His expression flickered. Annoyance, calculation. "You shouldn't surf alone," he said. "It's dangerous." He stepped back. I didn't wait. I shoved my board into the trunk, slammed it shut, and dove into the driver's seat. My hand slipped on the steering wheel as I started the car. As I pulled away, I saw him in the rearview mirror, standing by the path, watching, not angry, not frantic, smiling. I drove straight home, still in my wetsuit, salt drying on my skin. I locked the door behind me and sat on the floor, shaking. When I finally calmed down enough to think, I called the non-emergency line. They took my statement, asked what he looked like, what he said, if he touched me. "No," I said. "He didn't touch me." There was a pause. "Then there's not much we can do," the officer said gently. I stopped surfing that break, told myself it was temporary. I stuck to crowded beaches, busy hours. Even then, I felt eyes on me every time I paddled out. A week later, I drove past the old spot out of habit. The white van was there. It's been 3 years. I still surf, but never alone, never at dawn. Sometimes when I'm waxing my board, I catch myself scanning the parking lot instead of the waves. I never saw his face clearly enough to recognize him again. What stays with me is something small, the way he knew my routine before I ever spoke to him, and the fact that he never once tried to stop me from leaving, like he was just making sure I remembered he was there.